Have you ever opened up a company's financial report and just your eyes glaze over? Yeah, happens to all of us. Well, today we're going to change that. We're going to take a look under the hood of a massive company, the logistics giant Blue Dart Express, and make sense of all those numbers. Let's do this.
Because, let's be honest, when you first see one of these reports, it just looks like a giant wall of numbers. It's dense, it's kind of confusing, and it's really easy to see why most people just, click away.
But here's the secret. Behind all that data, there's actually a pretty simple story. A story about how a business is doing. And I promise, by the time we're done here, you're going to understand that story loud and clear.
So, think of this as a quick financial health checkup for Blue Dart. We're going to look at its vital signs over the last 5 years and see what they tell us about the company's performance. And the main tool we're going to use is called the income statement. Now, don't worry about the jargon. It's basically just a report card. All it does is track 3 things: the money coming in, the money going out, and the most important part, what's left over at the end. That's it. Simple.
And to tell a really good story, we need a before and after, right? So we're going to look at 2 points in time. First, the second quarter of 2019. That's our snapshot from before the world got turned upside down. And then we'll compare it to the second quarter of 2024 to see exactly where Blue Dart is today.
All right, let's start at the very top with revenue. In simple terms, this is all the money the company brought in from its main business, delivering packages and all their logistics services. It's the first big number you look at to check a company's health.
So back in Q2 2019, Blue Dart's revenue was sitting at about 800 crore rupees, a pretty hefty number to begin with. And just so you know, we're going to be rounding all the figures here just to keep things clean and simple.
Now let's hit the fast forward button. 5 years later, same quarter in 2024, that number jumps to almost 1,450 crore rupees. Whoa, that is a massive leap.
And seeing it like this, side by side, really puts it into perspective, doesn't it? The company's top line, its total sales, has just exploded. So, okay, we know they're making a whole lot more money, but where's it all going?
Well, as they say, you got to spend money to make money. And for a company like Blue Dart, with all its planes, trucks, and people, that's a lot of spending. So this next part is all about the expenses, the cost of keeping this massive machine running.
Take a look at this breakdown for 2024. One thing just leaps off the page: that massive 74% chunk for cost of materials and services. That's the engine room right there. We're talking fuel, we're talking truck maintenance, freight charges. It shows you this is a business that runs on real-world operations. And when we put the 2 periods side by side, you can see how it all connects. To get that huge revenue growth, their expenses had to go up too. The cost of materials pretty much doubled. That makes sense, right? More business means more spending. The real question is, was it smart spending? And that brings us to it. The most important number on the report card, the profit. This is the famous bottom line. It's what's left in the bank after every single bill is paid. This number tells you if the whole operation was actually successful.
Okay, so back in Q2 2019, after all the money came in and all the bills went out, Blue Dart's net profit was about 14 crore rupees.
And now, the big reveal. For that same period in 2024, the profit figure rocketed up to 61 crore rupees. That is not just a jump, that's a whole different league.
I mean, just look at that. The picture tells the whole story. The profit didn't just grow, it multiplied. We're talking more than a 4-fold increase. That tells you something really, really powerful has been happening inside this company.
So let's pull it all together now. We've seen the money coming in, the money going out, and what was left at the end. So what's the simple story these numbers are telling us about Blue Dart over the last 5 years?
Here's the story boiled down. Revenue shot up by a massive 80%. And yeah, to do that, cost had to rise too. But, and this is the magic part, their net profit absolutely exploded by over 300%. What that means is Blue Dart didn't just get bigger, it got a whole lot smarter and more efficient at turning revenue into actual profit.
If you had to tattoo this whole financial checkup on your arm, well, first, don't do that, but if you did, this sentence would be it. Blue Dart grew its business like crazy, and at the same time, it figured out how to make every single rupee it earned work that much harder.
And that leaves us with a really exciting question, doesn't it? In a world that's moving towards drones, AI, and instant delivery, what does this kind of financial firepower mean for a company like Blue Dart? How will they use it to shape the future of logistics? Well, that's the next story we'll all be watching.